Don't shop at H&M again before you understand what's really going on inside that bright, cheerful, fast-moving world of affordable fashion. Because the truth about this brand, the truth hidden behind the racks of trendy tops, the mountains of new arrivals, and the price tags that look too good to be true, is a lot stranger, deeper, and more calculated than most shoppers ever realize. And once you see how the machine actually works, you may never look at your shopping bags the same way again. Everyone has shopped at H&M at least once. Some people practically live in their basics. Some rely on it for last-minute outfits, seasonal wardrobes, or those impulse buys you grab when you just popped in to look. But beneath the music, the lighting, the carefully curated mannequins, and the illusion of simplicity is a system most customers never think about. A system that shapes every trend, every fabric, every price point, and even the psychology of how often you come back. And the wildest part? The problems aren't always where shoppers expect to find them. Some of the biggest issues aren't in the quality of the clothes themselves, but in the infrastructure behind them. The trend prediction engines, the global supply chains, the data systems that track what you click before you click it, the warehouses that move faster than some airports, and the silent decisions that determine how long a t-shirt will last before it starts looking tired. H&M isn't just a clothing store, it's a machine, fast, enormous, and much more complex than it appears from the outside. Before we get into the real reasons you might want to pause before buying your next haul, you need to understand the system behind fast fashion, the part most shoppers never get to see, because it happens long before those clothes land neatly folded in the store. The hidden machine behind fast fashion. If you've ever wondered how H&M manages to stay on trend every single week, how they somehow know what TikTok is obsessing over before the obsession even peaks, the answer is simple and unsettling. H&M operates one of the largest trend prediction systems in the world. Whenever a color, silhouette, neckline, or fabric starts gaining traction online, the brand's design teams see it instantly. They track search terms, they track saved posts, they track what Gen Z is wearing in street-style photos. And the moment something catches fire, H&M begins building it. But here's the part people don't think about. Designing a garment is easy. Making millions of them, shipping them across continents, and placing them in stores in just a few weeks is not. That kind of speed requires a system so big, so coordinated, and so relentless that the clothes themselves become secondary. The pace becomes the star of the show. H&M's supply chain runs like an international relay race. One location handles fabric cutting, another handles dyeing, another handles sewing, another handles finishing, another handles packaging, another handles transport. And because the brand spreads production across multiple countries, a single shirt might pass through 4 or 5 different factories before it reaches your hanger. This machine exists for one reason: volume. Volume so big that it becomes invisible to the average shopper. You walk in and see new arrivals. What you don't see is the global machine spinning at breakneck speed to make sure those racks stay full. Even if something breaks along the way, even if quality dips, even if trends change mid-production. And the more you understand how this system works, the more you see how it shapes the clothes themselves, the speed that keeps you coming back. H&M isn't just fast, it's engineered to be addictive. The constant flow of new styles isn't random, it's psychological. When a store changes its inventory as often as H&M does, your brain reads every visit as a chance to find something new. The entire store becomes a game of discover what's just arrived, and shoppers play that game more often than they realize. That's why just popping in turns into 3 tops, 2 dresses, and a pack of earrings. That's why people visit H&M every month without meaning to. That's why younger shoppers feel like they have nothing to wear, even though their closets are full. It's not because they lack clothes, it's because fast fashion keeps pulling the rug out from under the trends, making everything feel outdated faster than you can fold it. And here's the part most people never stop to consider. Clothes made this quickly aren't designed to last. They aren't built for multi-year wear. They're built to go out of style before they fall apart. That's not an accident. That's the business model. Fast fashion makes its money not from selling quality, but from selling frequency. You don't buy one great pair of jeans and keep it for years. You buy 3 or 4 pairs, each lasting a fraction of the time a higher quality piece would. Not because you want to, but because the clothes are designed to fit that cycle. The shorter the lifespan, the faster you return. The faster you return, the more the machine spins. And the more the machine spins, the more invisible the system becomes, the global network you never see. Most people think clothes travel a straight path, from factory to store. But fast fashion doesn't work like that. It's more like a maze with dozens of rooms and hallways that twist and overlap. H&M works with thousands of factories across Asia, Africa, and Europe. A single order might be split across multiple facilities to meet deadlines. A fabric shortage might force a mid-production factory switch. A viral trend might hijack the design pipeline halfway through. And when that happens, when speed matters more than consistency, the quality of the final garment becomes unpredictable. You can buy a t-shirt one week and love it, then buy the exact same style next month and wonder why it feels thinner, rougher, or slightly off. It's not your imagination, it's the system. And here's the part shoppers never think about. The clothes are moving through this global network, even when they're not being made. Unsold stock shifts from one region to another. Warehouse overflows get shipped to different markets. Items that didn't sell in Europe quietly end up in the US stores. It's a constant shuffling act, a never-ending attempt to outrun excess inventory while staying on trend. The result? A closet full of clothes that look new for about 8 minutes before the fabric loses structure. The seams warp, or the color fades, just enough to annoy you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because the system is built that way. The illusion of the perfect store. Walk into H&M on a good day, and everything looks spotless. Clothes are folded like origami. Mannequins are dressed like they're starring in a Netflix teen drama. Fitting rooms glow. Even the chaos feels curated. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The front of the store is designed to distract you from what's happening behind the scenes. The lighting hides fabric inconsistencies. The music masks the fact that the clothes feel cheaper than they look. The mannequins show you how something should fit, not how it actually does. And because the space looks organized, customers assume the rest of the system is too. But the real story, the one most shoppers never see, is what happens behind those swing doors in the back. The world behind the swing doors. Behind those backroom doors, the entire illusion shifts. The shelves disappear. The polished facade dissolves. And suddenly you're standing in a completely different version of H&M. The version customers were never meant to see. The air feels heavier. The lighting turns flat and fluorescent. Clothing is jammed tightly on rolling racks. Sleeves tangled together like they're clinging on for dear life. Boxes are stacked unevenly, half open, stuffed with garments that arrived too fast, too crushed, too inconsistently made to ever match the perfection of the store floor. This is the part of H&M that doesn't show up in the commercials. The section where rushed production manifests physically, where tiny details that were invisible on the hanger suddenly appear under harsh lighting. Stitching that wanders, hems that curl, fabrics that pill before they're even sold. It's the place where the fast in fast fashion becomes unmistakable. Not because the workers here aren't doing their jobs, but because the system itself is moving at a pace no human could realistically keep up with. Every time a new trend goes viral online, the backroom gets buried a little deeper, under boxes nobody was expecting until the truck rolled up. What's wild is how normal this setup is in fast fashion chains. It's not chaos by accident, it's chaos by design. The entire machine is built to operate at speed, and speed always leaves a mess behind. Staff are trained not to question the pace, only to keep up with it. If the store floor is the polished hotel lobby, the back room is the boiler room. Loud, hot, overcrowded, always one glitch away from unraveling. And this boiler room energy doesn't stay in the back. It travels through the clothes right into the hands of the shopper. The clothes that aren't built to stay beautiful. One of the biggest secrets of fast fashion is that durability is no longer the goal, it's the risk. If clothes last too long, the machine stalls. Customers stop coming back. Closets stay full. Trends slow down. So fast fashion brands quietly aim for something else, temporary perfection. H&M clothes often look best on day one. The colors feel rich. The stitching appears tight, the fabric hangs neatly, but that's not the whole story. Hidden inside the fibers and finishes is a kind of planned fragility, not dramatic enough to spark complaints, but subtle enough to keep you buying replacements sooner than you planned. Some fabrics are softened with chemical washes that make them feel luxurious in the store, but weaken them over time. Some dyes look vibrant at first, but fade after a few rounds in the machine. Some knits stretch more than they should. Some seams loosen faster than expected. The decline feels gradual, natural, almost normal, until you realize you've replaced the same black top 3 times in 1 year and never stopped to ask why. This isn't an accident. It's the invisible engineering behind fast fashion. Clothes are built for a short life cycle. because the brand depends on constant circulation. And once you recognize that pattern, it becomes impossible not to see the difference between clothing that's meant to stay with you and clothing that's meant to pass through you like a trend with a pulse. The trends that move faster than style should. Something strange has happened to fashion in the last decade, and H&M helped make it possible. Trends used to last years, then seasons. Now they barely last a month. A micro trend hits TikTok at 7 p.m. and by the time you wake up the next morning, the algorithm has already swapped it out for something newer. Fashion stopped being cyclical. It became disposable. H&M thrives in this environment because it doesn't just follow trends, it chases them at breakneck pace. Designers create silhouettes they expect to fade. Buyers choose fabrics, knowing they only need to survive a few wears. Even the marketing feels temporary, as if the brand knows today's look will be tomorrow's clearance rack. The psychological trick is powerful. When trends die quickly, customers feel like their clothes have expired even when they're still perfectly wearable. You're not throwing out a top because it's ruined. You're throwing it out because the platform that convinced you to buy it has already moved on. And H&M counts on that emotional shift. They've built an entire empire on the feeling that you're always one outfit behind, that there's always something better coming next week, that your wardrobe needs constant evolution to stay relevant, even if your actual life doesn't. Once you're caught in that loop, H&M becomes less of a store and more of a subscription service, one you pay for with your wallet and your attention. The marketing that makes everything look responsible. Of all the layers in H&M's illusion, the sustainability messaging might be the most beautifully crafted. Earthy greens, soft fonts, words like conscious, recycled, responsible, and eco-friendly, sprinkled like confetti across hang tags and posters. The branding is so soothing, it practically pats you on the back for being a good person. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Sustainability in fast fashion is often more theater than transformation. When H&M says an item is made from recycled materials, most customers imagine old clothes being reborn into new ones. In reality, most of those materials come from recycled plastic bottles, bottles that could have been recycled many more times if they hadn't been turned into fabric. Once a bottle becomes a shirt, it can't go back. Its recycling life ends right there. Some garments advertised as eco-conscious contain only a small percentage of recycled fiber, sometimes as low as 10 or 15%. The rest is the same synthetic blend fast fashion loves to use because it's cheap and easy to work with. And while the brand has made promises about reducing waste and lowering emissions, the scale of production contradicts those promises at every turn. You can't mass produce billions of garments a year and call it conscious. The math just doesn't work. What's clever is that the sustainability messaging isn't designed to fix the system. It's designed to soothe the shopper. The green tag doesn't change the garment. It changes your guilt. And once the guilt is gone, the machine keeps spinning. The price that hides a much higher cost. When people talk about H&M, the conversation almost always comes back to price. It's cheap, it's affordable, it's accessible. And on the surface, that sounds like a good thing. Fashion should be accessible. Style shouldn't feel like a luxury reserved for the wealthy. But cheap clothes come with costs nobody sees on the receipt. There's the environmental cost of producing garments at high speed, the labor cost of factories operating under pressure, the psychological cost of feeling like you always need more to stay up to date, and the long-term financial cost of buying replacements far more often than you would if the clothes were built to last. The price tag in the store is only the opening bid. The real payment comes later, and this is where things start to get even more complicated. Because the story of H&M isn't just about clothes or trends or sustainability claims, it's about what happens when an entire industry builds itself on speed, illusion, and volume, and what that means for the consumer standing in front of the mirror, holding a shirt that looks beautiful today, but may not look beautiful for long. The system that keeps growing, even when it shouldn't. As the industry shifts, something unusual has happened inside H&M, something most shoppers never think about. The brand hasn't just grown in stores and online, it has grown sideways, diagonally, upward, outward, in every direction imaginable. H&M has quietly become a constellation of sub-brands, experiments, collaborations, and side projects designed to keep the machine expanding even when the original engine starts showing its age. Think about it. A brand doesn't create COS and Other Stories, Monkey, Arket, Selfie, Weekday, and dozens of micro internal labels just for fun. They create them because they're trying to capture customers the main brand is losing. When a business starts breaking itself into smaller pieces, it's usually because the core is straining under its own weight. And that's exactly what's happening. H&M's empire isn't an empire of clothing. It's an empire of options, endless choices, endless micro-styles, endless variations of the same jeans, the same top, the same dress, not because shoppers need endless choice, but because the brand needs endless momentum. The more lines they launch, the more they keep you inside their ecosystem, drifting from style to style, collection to collection, trend to trend. And the wildest part? Each new brand solves a problem H&M created in the first place, but in a different costume. And Other Stories says, we're higher quality. COS whispers, we're minimalist and premium. Monkey shouts, we're quirky and young. Weekday leans into streetwear. Arket pretends it's a lifestyle brand. Sellpy preaches sustainability by reselling secondhand items, conveniently including H&M's own cast-offs. It's not diversity, it's insulation, a network built to keep you inside the loop even if you fall out of love with the main brand. And when a brand spreads itself across that many identities, something vital gets lost: accountability. It becomes harder to track what comes from where. Harder to understand what standards apply to which sub-brand. Harder to question the system when the system is now a swarm of different faces. This is the part of the story most shoppers never notice, not because they don't care, but because the illusion is so beautifully engineered that it feels natural. It feels like choice, when it's really strategy. The inventory problem no one talks about. One of the least glamorous, but most revealing, parts of fast fashion is inventory management. When you produce clothes at a speed and scale H&M does, you end up with a constant flood of items that didn't sell, weren't displayed, were returned, were produced in the wrong quantities, or simply didn't fit the trend by the time they arrived. So where do those clothes go? Most customers have no idea that major fashion retailers don't have the space, or the patience, to keep unsold garments on hand. Every clothing item takes up physical room, ties up money, and slows down the flow of new stock. For a system built on relentless speed, dead stock is the enemy. H&M cycles excess items through a complex overflow network, storage facilities, discount chains, international markets, secondary distribution channels. The goal isn't to sell every piece. The goal is to get rid of everything fast enough that the new wave of production can replace it. And when even that isn't fast enough, that's when the destruction pipeline kicks in. It doesn't happen in stores. It doesn't happen publicly. But investigations revealed multiple cases of fast fashion giants, including H&M, quietly destroying unsold items, not because the clothes were faulty, but because the system couldn't afford the backlog. When fashion becomes disposable, unsold fashion becomes a burden, and that burden has to go somewhere. The colors, the fabrics, and the details that reveal everything. If you really want to understand H&M, you don't look at the billboards, you look at the details. The elements so small, most shoppers never think twice about them. The way a color shifts slightly after washing, the way a neckline stretches faster than expected, the way a button placement feels just a bit off. These tiny signals tell the story of fast fashion engineering. Here's something most people don't know. The cheaper the production, the more unpredictable the color. Dye lots vary when factories rush. Fabrics from different suppliers absorb pigment differently. Two tops in the same shade might look identical in the store and noticeably different after a few washes, not because you cared for them incorrectly, but because the system behind them doesn't prioritize chromatic consistency the way traditional fashion houses do. And then there's fabric feel. H&M garments often feel soft in store, not because the fibers are naturally soft, but because finishing chemicals temporarily smooth them. It's similar to using conditioner on damaged hair. It feels nice for a moment, but the softness fades fast. Patterns, too, reveal something deeper. Garments are designed digitally, not draped. Instead of slow, careful pattern making, fast fashion designs are often drafted as quickly as possible to keep up with trend cycles. The result? Clothes that look perfect on mannequins but behave differently on real human bodies. Sleeves that twist, shoulders that shift, waistlines that feel slightly too high or too low, depending on the batch. These aren't mistakes. They're the fingerprints of a system built on speed, the weird economics of affordable fashion. H&M taught the world to believe that cheap clothes equal accessibility, but what looks like empowerment on the surface hides a strange economic loop beneath it. When clothes are this inexpensive, people buy more. When people buy more, they wear each item less. When they wear items less, they don't learn to care for them. When they don't care for them, they deteriorate faster. And when they deteriorate faster, they need replacements. Cheap clothes create expensive habits. It's a cycle that doesn't look dangerous because it feels normal, but the invisible cost creeps in quietly. The money spent on endless small purchases, the closet full of items that never become favorites, the inability to build a dependable wardrobe because everything feels temporary. It's not that H&M wants to make bad clothes. It's that the system their business relies on has made temporary the default, the consumer who doesn't know they're part of the machine. One of the strangest truths about H&M is that customers are not just buying from the system, they are fueling it. Every trend you wear, every item you return, every haul you post online, every click you make on the website feeds back into the data engine that determines what H&M makes next. H&M doesn't design clothes for who you are. They design clothes for who you appear to be through your data. If oversized blazers spike for 3 days, production lines adjust. If crochet tops trend for a week, patterns start drafting. If a color goes viral on TikTok, H&M follows like a shadow. Many people think they're choosing trends, but the system is choosing for them, reflecting their impulses back at them in a loop so fast they never pause to ask, do I even like this? The final reveal, the truth hiding behind the price tag. After everything you've seen, the speed, the scale, the illusion, the overflow network, the engineering of impermanence, the psychology of trend chasing, the sprawling web of sub-brands, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. H&M isn't just selling clothes, it's selling participation in a system built on motion, not meaning, speed, not quality, quantity, not longevity, trends, not style. And once you see the system clearly, the entire shopping experience feels different. You're not walking into a store, you're walking into a machine, one that has been quietly shaping your wardrobe, your habits, and even your sense of what's in for years. That's why this matters. Not because you should never buy clothes, not because fashion isn't fun, but because you deserve to know what you're participating in and how much control you truly have when you shop. So the next time you're standing under those bright lights, looking at a top that feels like a bargain, pause. Look past the price, look past the tags, look past the illusion. Ask yourself whether you're buying something that will actually earn a place in your life, or something designed to leave your closet almost as quickly as it entered. If this opened your eyes, even a little, make sure you like this video so more people can understand what's really happening behind the trends they follow. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into the stories big brands never want you to hear. And tell me in the comments, what part of this shocked you the most? What brand should we expose next?